I started drawing, as I remember, in the 3rd grade, and I was just naturally good at it. I would draw in class. I would draw after class. I'd draw over lunch, and it got to be kind of good. I remember that my 3rd grade teacher actually commissioned me to draw some stuff for her. I wish I had examples of it now, but they're gone. But that drawing just continued. I remember drawing in junior high and high school, and then throughout college, that art just continued. As far as my education, I started at University of Illinois. At University of Illinois, they had a study abroad program with L'École des Beaux-Arts. L'École des Beaux-Arts was the first school of architecture in the world. It was started back in, I believe, in the 1500s. At L'École, with the French mostly referred to L'École des Beaux-Arts as just L'École, which is the school. It was like the premier school of architecture in the world. And their program in architecture was very heavily based on art. If you couldn't draw, you couldn't be an architect. If you were an architect, you had to draw. And their drawings are hung in museums. They're incredible drawings. So that experience in Europe at L'École des Beaux-Arts heavily influenced my work, my experience as an architect, and the program was very heavily oriented towards drawing and traveling. We had basically 4 months of intense classroom period over the year, and then 5 months of travel study. And during that 5 months of traveling, there was just basically 2 requirements. You had to come back with some kind of a paper documenting your trip, and a whole bunch of drawings that illustrated your trip. And we were very much encouraged to draw quickly and succinctly and just spontaneously. So a lot of this work is inspired by that. The title of the exhibit, Architectural Serviette, is basically French for napkin architecture. French reversed the word order, so serviette is the word for napkin. So it's kind of just a very literal French description of what the art is, architecture drawn on napkins. Napkins kind of originated in architecture quite some time ago. Back in 1850, Joseph Paxton was meeting with the Planning Commission for the World's Fair in London. And they're meeting, having drinks and eating. And Joseph Paxton, on a napkin, sketches what became known as the Crystal Palace. And anybody that studies architecture studies that moment when Joseph Paxton, on a napkin, captured a quite renowned building, the Crystal Palace. And in history books, that building is there, the sketch is there. Architects have been sketching on napkins for quite a while. The idea of catching images spontaneously in the moment with the materials that you have in hand is kind of also a part of that napkin sketch, and it's how it kind of started with me. sitting in a wine studio, listening to music, drinking, eating, and then I'm just inclined to draw. So I pick up a napkin and start drawing, and it just kind of exploded from there. The icons and the themes and some of the work is it's kind of a way of just having fun. For me, there's also capturing some of the themes that just developed. As I was drawing, I started with buildings and elements in Lockport, just capturing the things that were around me, drawing different themes or whole landscapes of Lockport silhouette, the buildings. So one of the icons is a canal boat. Lockport being considered one of the best preserved canal towns in the country. The canal boat kind of symbolized to me the essence of Lockport. So the sketches that emanate primarily from Lockport, either wine bottles that were sketched here or buildings in Lockport. On each of the name plaques, you'll see a canal boat as an icon that references that's the theme of that image. There's a number of churches, religious temple facilities. There's a little icon there that looks like the old, small, kind of Victorian church. There's other symbols. There's kind of like a Cinderella castle, fantasy castle. Some of my drawings are just my imagination, just designing architecture that I would love to design if I was free to design whatever I wanted. So there's Art Deco, skyscraper, Tour Deco. That is just a fantasy building. Just designing a skyscraper as I wish. There's a number of arts and crafts inspired buildings that are just fantasies. Let's see some of the other themes. There's government buildings. There's the ones with the subtle references or hidden messages. There's a little magnifying glass on the name plaque that communicates those. So whenever you see the magnifying glass, there's something that may be obvious or maybe not so obvious. If you look at the water tower. If you look in there in the trees, you'll see that there's a cow. Miss O'Leary's cow is hidden in the trees. Some of the trees actually look more like flames. So the whole reason that we know of the water tower is it was the one building that survived the Chicago fire in 1871. So you may not see the flames and the cow if you just glance by it quickly, but they're there. And it's a reference to that. Some of the drawings happened, Italian Eyes happened on Halloween night. I'm in the studio drawing. I create kind of a haunted house, an Italianate haunted house. But if you look at the house, you can see the eyes, the nose, and the mouth, and the front door. And then there's kind of a big ghost-like eye hidden underneath in the ground underneath it. So there's various themes throughout. St. Marco was drawn during the time when Venice was flooded. You'll see some fish in the ground and waves in the sky. Other things like that. There's also one of my favorites is Palais Garnier, which is the Paris Opera House, which was a place that inspired the Phantom of the Opera. So there's this sketch that you see primarily of the Opera House of Palais Garnier. But if you look underneath, you'll see like a ghost of the Phantom. And there's over in the other corners, there's the rose, and then there's the Phantom and the lady kind of floating in the sky on the side.